Have you ever been in a conversation and felt like you didn't even exist? Maybe at work, where your ideas seem to float in the air unnoticed, only for someone else to say the exact same thing minutes later and get all the credit. Perhaps it's in your relationships, where your thoughts and feelings go unheard, no matter how loud you think you're being. What is it about those moments that sting so deeply? Is it the silence, the rejection, or the gnawing feeling that you aren't enough? These moments test our patience, our self-worth, and our resilience. And yet, have you ever wondered, what if it's not them ignoring you, but you ignoring your own power? This video will dive into the heart of Stoicism, an ancient philosophy, and show you how to reclaim your power in moments when you feel invisible. It's not about shouting louder, demanding attention, or begging for respect. It's about quiet confidence, knowing your worth, and standing firm even when the world seems to turn away. Why do people ignore us? It's more than just invisibility. Before we get into the 6 strategies, it's crucial to understand why we feel ignored in the first place. Is it really about how others treat us, or is it how we respond? Often, the pain of being overlooked stems from the stories we tell ourselves. I'm not good enough. They don't value me. Maybe I should just stay quiet. We've all been in situations where speaking up feels risky. What if we're met with indifference, mockery, or hostility? These are the narratives that chip away at our self-esteem, leaving us vulnerable to feeling like an outsider in our own lives. So, instead of asserting ourselves, we retreat into silence, hoping that someone else will recognize our worth. But here's the truth: no one will respect you if you don't respect yourself first. Allowing yourself to be overlooked is essentially giving others permission to dismiss your value. It's a painful realization, but an empowering one, because once you understand this, you can begin to change it. Stoicism offers a profound insight here. We can't control what others do, but we can control our own reactions. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The moment we stop seeking validation from others and start focusing on our inner strength is the moment we take back our power. Think about the times you've stayed quiet, hoping someone would notice you, give you the respect you deserve, or acknowledge your presence. It's in those silences that we often lose control, not because others are stronger, but because we've relinquished our power. Today, we'll explore how to reclaim that power, not through force or aggression, but through the wisdom of Stoicism and the unshakable strength of self-respect. Let's dive in and uncover the steps to ensure you're never ignored again, on your own terms. 1. Know your worth, because no one else will define it for you. Imagine walking into a room filled with successful people, each brimming with ideas and confidence. Do you feel small? Do you feel like you don't belong? If so, you're not alone. We often feel ignored because we allow others to define our worth. We subconsciously hand over our power by believing we need external validation to feel good about ourselves. Here's a personal story. I once attended a networking event where I was surrounded by high achievers, CEOs, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, people who exuded confidence. I felt completely out of place. I stayed in the corner, quietly sipping my drink, too afraid to speak up. But something shifted in me that night. I realized that the only reason I felt ignored was that I was ignoring my own value. Instead of seeing myself as equal to them, I had already decided I wasn't worthy of being there. From that day on, I made a conscious decision to walk into every room as if I belonged. I didn't need others to validate me. I needed to validate myself, and something magical happened. The more I embraced my worth, the more people started to notice me. Consider this. Every time you choose silence over self-expression, you are reinforcing the narrative that your voice doesn't matter. If you want to ensure you're never ignored again, you must shift from passive to active. Too often we sit on the sidelines, waiting for the world to notice us, when in fact, it's up to us to take action. Stop waiting for someone to invite you to the table. Pull up a chair and make your voice heard. But do it with intention, with confidence, and with a sense of purpose. You need to remember that your value isn't defined by the people around you. It's shaped by the unique strengths and qualities you bring to the table. Think about it. Every experience you've had and every challenge you've faced adds to who you are. You are unique. You have something special to offer. No one else can offer what you can, and it's time to embrace that. Embracing your worth means understanding that you have a right to contribute, to share your thoughts, and to take up space in any conversation. The more you challenge those feelings of invisibility, the more you will find that others begin to see you as well. It's a ripple effect. When you value yourself, the world is more likely to reflect that back to you. Now ask yourself, how can you shift your mindset today? Start by practicing self-affirmation. Remind yourself of your achievements and the qualities that make you who you are. Each time you step into a new environment, carry that self-awareness with you. Visualize your worth as a shield, protecting you from the sting of indifference. The more you embrace your identity and contributions, the more empowered you will feel. Remember, the power to be seen and heard lies within you. It's time to reclaim it and transform your experiences from feeling ignored to feeling empowered. If you're still watching, please like and comment below with a sign that you've noticed in your own relationships. Your insights might help others recognize similar patterns and foster healthier connections. 2. Set boundaries and enforce them with grace. One of the most effective ways to stop being ignored is to set clear boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They are lines that protect your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. People tend to ignore those who lack boundaries because, without them, you send the message that you don't respect yourself enough to enforce limits. And if you don't respect yourself, why should others? Take a moment to think about a time when someone crossed a line with you and you said nothing. Maybe it was a colleague who dumped extra work on you without asking, or a friend who consistently took advantage of your kindness. Each time you let it slide, your power diminished, and they learned they could ignore your needs. Imagine a different scenario. The same colleague tries to dump work on you, but this time you confidently say, "I'm sorry, I can't take on any more right now." Or that friend calls for yet another favor, and you gently but firmly say, "I'm not available to help this time." By enforcing boundaries, you teach others to respect you, and most importantly, you show that you respect yourself. Setting boundaries isn't just about drawing lines. It's like crafting a protective shield around your spirit. Imagine the surge of confidence that comes when you finally declare, "This is my space, and I deserve to protect it." Every time you stand up for yourself, you're not just guarding your time and energy. You're making a bold statement that your feelings and needs matter. When you do this, you might be surprised at how others respond, not with anger or resistance, but with newfound respect. Think back to those moments when you hesitated to speak up, worried that saying no would cause friction. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that keeping the peace is more important than your own well-being. But here's the kicker. By not asserting your boundaries, you're actually doing a disservice to yourself and those around you. Genuine relationships thrive on honesty and clarity. When you lay down your boundaries, You create an environment where real connections can grow, and those who truly care will appreciate your authenticity. As you embark on this journey of self-assertion, embrace the discomfort that comes with it. Change isn't always easy, but it's often the catalyst for profound transformation. Picture this. Each time you assert your needs, you're not just stepping into your power, you're becoming the architect of your own life. Over time, what once felt daunting will turn into second nature, leaving you empowered and invigorated, ready to navigate the world on your own terms. 3. Speak with intention. Make every word count. It's easy to fall into the trap of speaking just to be heard, especially when you feel ignored. But Stoicism teaches us that true power lies not in the quantity of our words, but in their quality. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, advised, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In situations where you feel invisible, resist the urge to fill the silence with meaningless chatter. Instead, speak with intention. Make every word count. When you choose your words carefully, people will start to pay attention. Why? Because in a world full of noise, those who speak with clarity and purpose stand out. I remember a time in my career when I was constantly overlooked in meetings. I would try to chime in, but my comments would get drowned out by louder voices. Frustrated, I decided to change my approach. Instead of speaking up every chance I got, I started to listen more carefully. I waited for the right moment to speak, when my point would have the most impact. And when I did speak, I made sure my words were concise and insightful. Slowly, the dynamics shifted. My colleagues began to listen more intently because they knew that when I spoke, it mattered. It's easy to feel pressure to speak just to prove you belong in a room, especially when others seem to dominate the conversation. But imagine the power you could harness if you only spoke when you had something meaningful to add. You would become the person people look to for wisdom, the one who doesn't waste words, but delivers them with impact. Speaking with intention isn't about shrinking into silence. It's about making your voice resonate louder in a quieter way. It's about understanding that you don't need to say more to be heard. You just need to say it better. You can start doing this now. The next time you're in a meeting, a social gathering, or even a casual conversation, take a breath before speaking. Ask yourself, does what I'm about to say carry weight? Does it move the conversation forward? You'll be amazed at how this small shift not only changes how others perceive you, but also how you see yourself. Speaking with intention builds a quiet confidence, one that doesn't beg for attention, but commands it naturally. Being seen and acknowledged isn't about shouting louder or demanding attention. It's about embodying quiet strength and letting your presence speak for itself. You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room to command respect. In fact, often the most powerful people are the ones who speak the least, but when they do, their words carry weight. Take, for example, the famous Stoic philosopher Seneca. He believed that action speaks louder than words. People who are in control of themselves don't need to seek external validation. They naturally draw others in through their grounded presence. When you speak from a place of self-assurance, others will listen. When you act with purpose, others will follow. 4. Stay silent with confidence. The power of non-reaction. Not every situation requires a response. In fact, one of the most powerful moves you can make when you're feeling ignored is to remain silent. But this isn't the kind of silence born out of insecurity or fear. It's a silence filled with confidence and purpose. Let me give you a scenario. You're in a heated discussion, and someone tries to provoke you by dismissing your ideas or making a subtle jab. Your first instinct might be to react, to defend yourself, to prove them wrong. But what if instead you stayed silent and let their words hang in the air? This kind of non-reaction can be far more powerful than any rebuttal. It shows that you are in control, that you are not rattled by their attempt to undermine you. Now, imagine yourself in that moment of tension, the kind where your heart races and your thoughts scramble for the perfect comeback. But instead of feeding the fire, you pause. You let the silence settle like a calm before the storm. You hold back, not out of fear, but because you know something they don't. Your silence speaks louder than any argument ever could. The space you create in that silence forces others to sit with their own words, to reflect, and often to reconsider. It's a moment where you take control, not by fighting back, but by choosing not to engage. You might be wondering, but won't silence make me look weak? The truth is, silence, when wielded with confidence, is anything but weakness. It's restraint, it's wisdom, it's the quiet strength that shows you aren't desperate for approval or rattled by criticism. It's the understanding that not every battle is worth fighting, and that sometimes the greatest power is in what you don't say. People will start to notice this shift. They'll realize that you aren't easily swayed or provoked, and that kind of control commands respect. So the next time someone tries to pull you into their chaos, remember this: your silence is a choice, and it's a powerful one. Not every insult deserves your energy, and not every conversation needs your voice. You can stand firm in your silence, knowing that you've chosen the higher ground. It's in that quiet space that your strength will resonate most clearly, and it's often there that others will begin to truly see you. This strategy is deeply rooted in Stoicism. As Marcus Aurelius said, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. By refusing to engage with negativity, you maintain your composure and dignity, and you often leave the other person off balance. You cannot control how others react to you, but you can control how you present yourself. You can control the words you speak, the energy you bring, and the boundaries you set. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This mindset is critical. When you realize that being ignored is often a reflection of others' insecurities or blindness, not your inadequacy, you free yourself from the need for validation. Your power comes from within. 5. Walk away. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is leave. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that not every situation is worth your time or energy. Sometimes, reclaiming your power means walking away from people or situations that no longer serve you. This isn't about giving up. It's about recognizing when staying is costing you more than it's worth. Have you ever been in a friendship or romantic relationship where you constantly felt overlooked or undervalued? You tried everything: being kinder, more understanding, giving more of yourself. But nothing changed. The more you gave, the less you received in return. I once had a close friend who constantly ignored my feelings. No matter how much I tried to communicate, he would brush off my concerns and make me feel insignificant. It took me years to realize that I wasn't powerless in this dynamic. I was choosing to stay. The moment I decided to walk away, I felt a sense of freedom I hadn't felt in a long time. Walking away doesn't mean you've lost. It means you've chosen yourself. In Stoicism, this is a form of letting go of things outside your control. You can't force others to value you, but you can choose to walk away from situations where you aren't valued. In Stoicism, walking away from toxic situations is not seen as a weakness, but as an act of strength. It's about exercising control over what you allow into your life. You can't change other people, but you can change how much access they have to you. Think about the moments where you've stayed too long, hoping things would change, holding on to people or situations that drained you. You convince yourself that if you just try harder, communicate better, or give it more time, things will shift. But deep down, you already know the truth. Some people won't change, and some situations will never get better. And that's when you have to ask yourself, is this really worth my peace? Walking away isn't about admitting defeat. It's about understanding that your time, energy, and emotional well-being are precious. You deserve to protect them. When you make the decision to walk away, you reclaim a part of yourself that was lost in the struggle. The courage it takes to leave speaks volumes about your self-respect. It's a statement. I am worth more than this. There's a power in choosing to step back, in no longer engaging with what doesn't align with your values or your sense of self. Walking away doesn't close doors. It opens new ones. It creates space for something better, something that matches the energy you want in your life, and it signals to the world that you won't settle for anything less than respect and consideration. You've likely been in situations where staying felt like the safe choice, but deep down, you knew it was costing you. The challenge lies not in making excuses for why you should stay, but in recognizing that walking away is an act of love toward yourself. In Stoicism, this choice is viewed as one of ultimate strength. You're not avoiding the problem, you're simply choosing not to let it control you. Walking away empowers you to invest in things that nourish you, to surround yourself with people who lift you up, and to live a life that aligns with your true worth. 6. Master emotional detachment. Don't let others control your emotions. Finally, one of the most powerful ways to reclaim your power is to practice emotional detachment. This doesn't mean you become cold or unfeeling. It means you stop allowing others to dictate how you feel. When you base your emotions on how others treat you, you give them control over your inner peace. Here's an example. Imagine you're at work and your boss gives credit to someone else for a project you poured your heart into. Your first reaction might be anger or hurt, but what if, instead of letting those emotions consume you, you paused, took a deep breath, and reminded yourself that their oversight doesn't diminish your value? Think about the times when someone's words or actions got under your skin, and for the rest of the day, it felt like they had control over your mood. You replay the moment in your head, letting it fester, letting it dictate how you feel. But here's the truth. No one should have that kind of power over you. By mastering emotional detachment, you regain control of your reactions. You stop being a puppet to other people's behavior and start living on your own terms. You can acknowledge the sting without letting it sink into your core. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop over-investing in things that don't deserve your energy. You begin to realize that most people's actions are reflections of them, not you. When you stop internalizing the actions of others, you allow yourself to maintain your peace, no matter what's going on around you. You become the steady force in a chaotic world, unshaken by the pettiness or ignorance of others. Imagine how much lighter life would feel if you could just let go of the weight of other people's judgments. Next time you find yourself in a situation where someone's behavior threatens to derail your emotional balance, pause. Remind yourself that your peace is your priority. Is this worth losing it over? Often the answer is no. When you cultivate emotional detachment, you learn to protect your inner world. You develop the strength to walk away from unnecessary conflict, knowing that your happiness and self-worth aren't up for negotiation. This isn't about not feeling, it's about not letting every feeling control you. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts and reactions. By mastering emotional detachment, you protect your inner peace, no matter what happens around you. This doesn't mean you don't care. It means you choose to care about the right things. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Conclusion: you hold the power. Now reclaim it. Being ignored can feel deeply painful, but it doesn't define your worth. The power to be seen, heard, and respected lies within you. It always has. Through Stoic principles, you can learn to control your reactions, set boundaries, speak with intention, and walk away from situations that no longer serve you. It's not about forcing others to acknowledge you. It's about embodying the quiet strength, confidence, and self-respect that naturally command attention. When you stop seeking validation from others and start truly valuing yourself, everything changes. You'll notice people start paying attention, not because you demanded it, but because you've earned it by being true to yourself. Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control how others act, we can control how we respond. The next time you feel overlooked, ask yourself, am I respecting myself? Am I allowing this to happen? And if so, how can I take back my power? The journey to reclaiming your power starts now. You are not invisible. You are valuable and worthy of being seen. The world is waiting to see exactly who you are. Now go out there and show them. You'll never have to beg for attention or validation again. The journey to reclaiming your power starts now, and it starts with you.